So we're about a week into 2025 NFL free agency. The Eagles have made a plethora of moves. A lot of players have left this Eagles roster. So I thought it was a fitting time to put together my Eagles free agency grades. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We are live every single day this week. We were talking about every single Eagles acquisition, and we'll continue to serve as the standard for the best Eagles talk right here on YouTube. So let's first take a look at every single move the Eagles have made up to this point. Keep in mind, I am recording this on Friday, March 14th at about 5 o'clock Eastern time. So if there's another signing that happens that's not included in the show, that is why. The Eagles rewarding Saquon Barkley with the 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension. The Eagles re-signing one of the heartbeats of that defense last year, the number one overall defense in the game, and Zack Baun to a 3-year, $51 million contract. The Eagles traded away Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland Browns for Dorian Thompson-Robinson and a 5th-round pick. So now Tanner McKee becomes the backup behind Jalen Hurts. Kenyon Green coming to Philadelphia as a former first-round pick out of Texas A&M by the Houston Texans in exchange for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. VanSumeren signing a 1-year deal to stay with Philadelphia. He can play linebacker, special teams, and fullback. A.J. Dillon signing a 1-year contract to join Saquon Barkley and Will Shipley in that backfield. Josh Uche, talented edge rusher, had 11.5 sacks a few years ago for New England. Played last year with the Patriots and the Chiefs, signing a 1-year deal just shy of $2 million. Harrison Bryant, a 1-year contract, up to $2 million. Adoree Jackson, 1-year deal. That's the report with Philadelphia. Longtime starter, former first-round pick all the way back in 2017. Spent the last few years with the New York Giants. Charlie Hewlett being signed as the Eagles' new long snapper. 1 year, $1.42 million. He takes over for Rick Lovato, who is one of 4 players in franchise history to win the only 2 Super Bowls in franchise history for Philadelphia, joining Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, and Jake Elliott. Avery Williams, a gadget player, signing a 1-year deal. Patrick Johnson comes back to the Eagles on a 1-year contract, and then Philadelphia adding a second tight end to the team in Kylen Granson, a former 4th-round pick. That is a 1-year deal as well. What does it mean for the future of Dallas Goedert? I think he's all but gone. So my thoughts overall, before I go player by player here, with what the Eagles have done in free agency. Howie Roseman's strategy is somewhat clear to me. He wanted to let players walk and not pay great money to good to very good players. The Eagles also have gotten some compensatory picks back, and the Eagles have been able to add a lot of depth while retaining some players, like Zack Baun, giving a contract extension to Saquon Barkley. And so you might be frustrated with Howie not making big splashes. He told us this was coming. He asked for patience when he was at the NFL Combine when I was right in front of him. And that's exactly how the Eagles have gone about this free agency period. And now they have 21 picks in the next 2 drafts, including 11 combined in 2025 and in 2026 in the first 4 rounds. It's going to give them an opportunity with 17 picks in the first 5 rounds to draft players, develop them, and they will be cost-controlled assets, and that's how you stay a consistent winner in the National Football League. For Saquon Barkley, there is some risk here. He's in his late 20s, mileage on the tires, injury history, but this is Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman saying, Saquon, you're a one-on-one athlete. You just had the best season in the history of all running backs in the history of the NFL. You were underpaid. You outplayed your previous deal. We will reward you with you helping us win a Super Bowl by giving you a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension, the most guaranteed money and the highest average annual value in the history of the league for running backs. He earned it. This is why the Eagles get respect from so many agents and players across the NFL. This is why Philadelphia has become a go-to destination for players. This is why players do not want to leave on top of playing in front of the best fans in the NFL. For Zack Baun, a lot of similar thoughts to the Saquon Barkley deal, right? But Saquon was already under contract. Zack Baun was set to be a free agent. The Eagles signed him for a one-year contract worth $3 million. It may have been the best signing across the entire NFL in free agency last year, considering how well he played at the money that they paid him. Finalist for Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-Pro, so instinctual, plays with great feel. The Eagles would have not been the number one overall defense without Zack Baun, who alongside Jalen Carter, they were both the MVPs of that Eagles defense last year. This is also Vic Fangio saying, I want him back because he can lead my defense. Dorian Thompson-Robinson had taken a top 30 visit to the Eagles going into the draft a few years ago out of UCLA. Clearly, the Eagles really liked him. And for Howie Roseman to trade Kenny Pickett and get DTR, who will be a developmental player for this organization, and get a fifth-round pick, and then have the better quarterback in Tanner McKee be the backup, who has a lot of ability, I think could be a starter at some point down the road. It's a smart trade by Howie Roseman when you consider value and it making sense for this Eagles roster. Kenyon Green, this is a move that I hated. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been the heartbeat of this Eagles defense the 2 years that he's been with the Eagles, and in both years they've won the NFC, they've made it to the Super Bowl. I know that he can be a lot to deal with. I know you might wake up as a coach or a GM with the text at 4 a.m. that says, what is C.J. Gardner-Johnson talking about on X? I understand that sometimes that's difficult to deal with. I'm willing to deal with that if there are other positives. And the other positives outweigh the negatives for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Plays with swagger, plays with confidence, plays with physicality, makes big plays, comes through with game-altering interceptions, has no fear, is a great leader, is wonderful in that locker room. Players absolutely love him. And I know that the Eagles are trying to save some money. They want to pay Reed Blankenship. I get it. But to trade C.J. Gardner-Johnson away when you saw how it impacted the 2023 team and how much you missed him, I don't like it. And Kenyon Green, former first-round pick, yes. Jeff Stoutland probably going to turn him into a really good player. And Kenyon Green, Tyler Steen, they're making no money compared to what Mekhi Becton could get on the open market. But he's a huge project, and Green has been one of the worst guards in the NFL since being that first-round pick. Ben VanSumeren, sneaky good signing here for the Eagles. He could play linebacker, special teams, and last year he emerged as a pretty good weapon as a fullback. A.J. Dillon, the Eagles lost Kenneth Gainwell to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that Will Shipley will still be RB2 and should be RB2. I think that Will Shipley has a lot of ability, pop and juice in this league. A.J. Dillon could be the LeGarrette Blount type of running back for this Eagles team, though. Short yardage guy, not really a home run threat of a player, but he can pick up tough, gritty yards in short yardage situations. He'll run over you and through you. And with the future of the brotherly shove being in somewhat question, the Eagles bring in A.J. Dillon, who's going to get you those tough yards, and Harrison Bryant, who ran some quarterback sneaks last year with Cleveland. Josh Uche, excellent value here. Josh Uche was top 10 in pass rush win rate, I believe, among all edge rushers last year. And he had 11.5 sacks a few years ago. The Eagles are signing him for under $2 million. When you talk about the Uche signing, it's all about value. And I think that in 2025, he could have the type of surprising impact to a lot of people that Zack Baun had in 2024. And I'm not saying that Uche is going to be a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year or that Uche is going to be an All-Pro. But what I'm saying is that I think that Uche, in this system, with this coaching led by Vic Fangio, with this talent, with the skill set that he has, the pedigree that he has as a former second-round pick, can give Philadelphia 7 to 10 sacks. And if he does that at just more than $1 million in guaranteed money, steal, steal, steal. Harrison Bryant, tight end, 6'5", 230, 10 touchdowns in his career so far. He was used by Cleveland as a guy who would pick up short yardage with quarterback sneaks. That was very interesting. And so he could be a pass catcher. He could be an okay blocker. He could be a red zone threat. And if the Eagles are going to trade or release Dallas Goedert, you have to have a backup plan. Now the Eagles have multiple of them. You have Harrison Bryant, you have Kenyon Green, you have Grant Calcaterra, and then I think they should draft the tight end in the first 4 rounds. Adoree Jackson, he's played in more than 90 games. He started in more than 80. He was an electrifying player at USC as a returner, as a corner. He's been a very solid player in his career, not quite becoming the first-round player that the Titans envisioned when they took him in 2017, although he was solid for Tennessee and then got paid some big-time dollars by New York. It's pretty telling to me. He's only been with 2 teams since 2017. Tennessee, New York. Both teams really like him, and he's a depth piece for cheap for Philadelphia, and they need that at that corner position. Charlie Hewlett, long snapper. So long, Rick Lovato. 2 Super Bowls, really good long snapper. I think the struggles of Jake Elliott this past year may have resulted in the Eagles moving on from Rick Lovato. And so Charlie Hewlett comes in. He spent 10 years with the Cleveland Browns. 1 year, $1.42 million. It's a decent amount of coin for the long snapper spot. Avery Williams is such an interesting player. And I want to bring up where he's been used in his career, because coming out of Boise State, taken in the 5th round by the Atlanta Falcons in 2021, started off on defense as a corner. And in 2021, 2 snaps along the defensive line, 11 as a box defender, 96 snaps in the slot, 9 at wide corner, 3 at free safety. Made the switch to offense in year 2, 85 snaps in the backfield, 6 inline tight end, 37 slot receiver snaps, 13 at wideout. 2023 missed all of the season because of an ACL injury during OTAs. In 2024, 10 snaps in the backfield, but didn't get any carries at all, but they had Bijan Robinson, who's an excellent running back. He is a punt returner, and last year, 10.9 yards per punt return, just under Britton Covey's career average of 11.3. Eagles did not tender Britton Covey. He's going to be a free agent, and so Williams could become a versatile player and gadget weapon for Philadelphia at minimal money. Patrick Johnson coming back to the Eagles, spent much of last year with the New York Giants. And then Kenyon Green is another pretty interesting player here, who is a former 4th-round pick out of SMU, has caught a decent amount of passes at the NFL level, and is a very good blocker. Last year, 16th best pass blocking tight end, 17th best run blocking tight end. And so he will block for you, and he will catch passes for you. And again, with the uncertainty around Dallas Goedert, you had to make a move here. Eagles Super Bowl gear is available. Chatsports.com/EaglesSB. That'll redirect you to our friends at Fanatics so that you can get leveled up, look good, feel good. That's the motto with some Eagles Super Bowl gear. And regardless of where you live, you can flex that the Eagles are Super Bowl 59 champions. Head to chatsports.com/EaglesSB. Shirts, hats, hoodies, jerseys, merchandise, all types of things that you can put inside your man cave, available right now, utilizing that link down at the bottom of your screen. So, as we round things out here, this Eagles team still has a lot of stars. And this Eagles team going into 2025 is very deep as far as the depth that they have on this Eagles roster. And I know they haven't made splash moves, but they've gotten a lot of really good value deals. And keep in mind, some of this money they're not using now is going to be spent on the likes of Jalen Carter. Hopefully Reed Blankenship. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are going to be due for deals. Nolan Smith as well. And so the Eagles want to allocate those dollars in the future, with the NFL salary cap continuing to rise, to some of their defensive homegrown stars. Whereas their offensive players are young in their primes and under contract. So my free agency grade for the Eagles up to this point, I'm going to give them a B grade. They are defending Super Bowl champions. They still have an opportunity to run it back. At the very least, they'll return 9 of 11 starters on offense. And on defense, they've lost 3 starters. Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, CJ Gardner-Johnson, but they're still very good, and they're banking on quality coaching and player development to help them. And they have a lot of draft picks as well. And that strategy has been a part of the Eagles' free agent strategy. And keep in mind, too, we're thinking about external signings. How about bringing back Zack Baun? Re-upping with Saquon Barkley. Important deals. I need you to grade the Eagles' free agency period so far. A, B, C, D, or F. Comment your thoughts and your opinions down in the comment section right now.